and perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my ear.
Okay.
All right, guys, here we are. Just the tip for this week, and we got ourselves a challenge. Okay, here's the challenge: 1 rod, 1 bait, 1 hour. If I told you that's all you were allowed to fish for the next 60 minutes, how uncomfortable would that actually make you? Because most of us don't have a fishing problem. We've got a decision problem when we're on the water. Too much gear, too many rods, too many baits, too many what-if situations kind of running in our minds. And this challenge isn't necessarily about being stubborn. It's about being intentional. When you limit yourself, what you do is you stop bait hopping from spot to spot, and you actually start to learn something about the bait that you're throwing. With 1 rod and 1 bait, you're forced to think about boat or bank position, casting angles, speed and cadence, where your bait actually spends its time. Instead of asking yourself, what should I throw? You start asking yourself, how should I fish this? And some of the best adjustments I've ever made while fishing didn't come from tying on something new. They came from committing to 1 bait long enough to understand what it was actually doing. And honestly, some of my biggest fish came after I wanted to give up and make a switch, but I stuck with it. Tournament guys do this all the time, whether they actually realize it or not. They commit really because they have to. It gets down to that money on the line thing. But fun fishermen and folks that are out there just a little bit more casually, they don't, because we're not in a situation where it really matters. We can kind of mix it up and change the toys that we're playing with. So here's this week's actual tip. Next time you're out on the water, and for some of us up north, you might not be out there for quite some time. You know, you might have a couple of months to think about this. But next time you're on the water, pick a rod and 1 bait that you trust. Give it an hour. No switching, no panic changes. If you don't catch fish, that's fine. You'll still be learning something about that bait. And if you do catch fish, then you just prove that commitment beats chaos. 1 rod, 1 bait, 1 hour. You'll become a better angler, even if it drives you a little bit nuts. And here's what I'm thinking. When you're out on the boat, you're doing, whatever, or you're on the bank, maybe I thought about this. Maybe for like boat and kayak guys that go and they have all their gear. Maybe that temptation is a little bit too much. And they're like, I'm not going to empty my rig just to go and do this. Then don't. Take 1 rod with 1 bait. Maybe bring a couple of that same bait, and if you break it off, but go bank fishing. Bank fish for 60 minutes, Really kind of put yourself into it. And I thought about this because of our Just the Tip last week about confidence baits. Like there are people who are going to automatically go to one of their confidence baits, and they're just going to be like, oh, we'll start here. You might learn something else about that confidence bait. You might actually get a little bit more confident in its abilities. And I do this all the time. Lots of times when I'm bank fishing, like I'll just grab a rod and I only have a little bit of time. I'll be like, I'm just going to take this jig and I'm going to make it work, and that's it. And if I catch them, great. If I don't, then I don't. It's with bank fishing, that's one thing. But yeah, even if you're on your boat, just dedicate 60 minutes. And maybe there's a spot you're learning something, go ahead and do it. So my question for both of you guys, what would you pick to go and do this for the first time?
Go ahead, Bill.
I have a feeling I know what Joe's might be.
Mine's too easy. I actually have the opposite. I'll put 5 setups. I'll tie up different bait on every single one, and I only end up using 1 all day. So my answer is I'm using a medium heavy rod bait caster with a swim jig and a saucy swimmer from Guggen or something as the trailer.
Yep.
Bladed swim jig, bladed jig. And I am going all day long with that. And no matter what I have, that's what I keep going back to.
Do that again, Joe. Your reaction when he said,
"Oh." I can't believe he's still on the Guggen game from way back when.
Well, if you would have asked me this for my first 35 years, I would have just said literally like a Senko.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would have used.
So So, Bobby, let's elaborate. Is there a certain time of the year for this?
I didn't want to get into all that.
I would say
just generalized.
Honestly, I would say this is probably just generalized because you could do this at different times of the year and really benefit from doing that. Like, you know, take an hour a week when you're out there. I mean, obviously, maybe if it's your only day to be out there, but if you have a full day.
I mean, you joke about, I mean, I'll get into mine. I mean, Bill jokes about the Senko, but dude, you can't go wrong with a wacky rig Senko, man, with a stick bait. Here's my thing. Like that will catch fish. I mean, technically anything will catch fish. I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50.
Yep.
Between two baits. It would be that or just a fucking a square bill, dude.
See, I think a square bill is a great place to start because there's a lot of folks, like myself included, that is where I have a very rigid situation where I'm like, I'm going to throw a square bill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would say it's not about picking the bait that's going to catch fish. It's just about putting yourself in that situation where you have to catch fish on that bait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I 100%, I thought you were going to say the donkey rig, Joe. That's what I expected from last week.
I'm not, because this year is like, I'm really going to try
build
that
the confidence.
out. So like if like January fucking 3rd of next year, you ask this question, that might be my answer.
So
that might be my answer.
I think what the point of this really is like to take and learn something new about a bait, maybe in a different body of water or something like that you didn't necessarily know before. But this is, you know how like, especially this is huge with the big swim bait guys. They're like, oh, you want to figure out how to do this? Just pick a bait and go. And that's what you throw. That's what it is all day long. That's a big commitment to go like all day long. I'm throwing just one bait. That's crazy. But it does work because it forces you to learn about that bait. Like if you don't get bit on it all that day, you can look at the conditions and say, well, I wonder why. Or maybe you only catch one and it's not a pattern, you know, something along those lines. Like for me, I've got baits like confidence baits that I know I could throw, but sometimes it's kind of nice to just like lean into something and say like, no, we're going to make this work. You know, we're gonna see what happens and what we can do and it, you know, that's in a way that's kind of how I eventually broke that monkey on my back with spinner baits. You know, and really to a certain extent, a lot of moving baits, because I was like, I just didn't have I was focusing on throwing to like specific cover. You know, and I'd say like, this looks juicy, and I would work on that. I had minimal confidence in like calling fish up and getting them to bite and finding them while moving. Now it's like with moving baits in general, but like specifically like spinner baits, I have like a little bit more confidence in what I'm doing and what I can throw them with. Blade baits, John mentions it right. He says, I'm in love with blade baits and hard baits this year.
Force myself bladed to do jigs, or does he mean blade?
No,
baits?
I think he means regular blade, like a blade hard bait.
That's
treble.
cool,
like a blade. I love blade baits in like the winter, like cold water. That's the only time I've ever thrown them.
That's one of those baits. I just have no confidence. I'll throw them. I lose way too many, and that's when I get frustrated.
That's the biggest part of blade baits. The way you're supposed to fish them, you fucking pay $10 a piece or $8 a piece. You lose fucking $5 a trip.
Yep.
Because they get hung up in the rocks.
I was
or
out
whatever.
fishing with Topless Timmy Jakes. And he and I often, this thing will come up and he'll like, if he catches a fish off this, there's a spot where he refers to it as a pile of shit as like the structure. He's it's just a bunch of shit on the bottom of the river. You know what I mean? And he calls it the pile of shit pattern. And he was killing them this one day on blade baits. And he's like, I'm just throwing in there. And he's like, you know, just flutter it up, let it sink down. Flutter it back up, let it sink down. And I was just getting hung up on everything. And I'm like, man, I don't know about this. But it's one of those things where I think you could hold on a second. Fucking Eli. Jack goes, I'm gonna fire you, Eli. And he says, Eli goes, I've become a better angler by adding more techniques to my arsenal. He says, Timu blade baits. You know, I'll tell you what, blade baits are easy to make too. They're cheap to make. They really are. They're really easy. It's just buying the components and doing the assembling and getting the lead to sit on there. And I believe because there's a blade, you can use those in mass.
Yeah.
I believe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you can. They don't sit. They don't sit. Yeah.
Lead.
You can use blade base. Yeah, you can use them in mass.
Yeah, but that's what there's a lot of people that, oh yeah, no lead. I think because there's a blade, you can use
Oh,
it.
fuck off
Yeah.
with the lead.
Yeah,
shit,
I've got it straight from their, what is it, game warden or whatever.
Yep.
The environmental police. As long as it's not pinned to the bottom, so only like a finesse jig or any type of finesse weight that's lead. Otherwise, anything moving can be lead.
Yep.
And if
Yeah,
I'm
it's
wrong,
crazy.
sue Bobby.
Spinner baits and bladed jigs as well. Y'all are going to get a chance to work on your blade bait game real soon. This is coming from Zek, so we'll see. We'll see. That's good shit. That's good juice. But yeah, that's what it gets down to. I think that for all of you guys, take this
Or
opportunity.
dark horse.
More local, nice save. Oh, the chat's on fire
It
tonight.
really is. It really is. You get a Friday night. We got about at least a half dozen at one time in here, and there's a rotation. I think I've seen up to like 10 or 11, and they have. I'm sure some of these jig heads have a couple of cocktails going. You know what I'm saying? They get real loose.
Eli's sitting there like that Key and Peele meme where his fucking just face is sweating.
Let's just say Key and Peele probably hands down for their era best comedy on television. Just
100%.
untouched.
100%.
that's
Too
good.
goddamn funny. You guys ever see the sketch where they talk about dubstep? Oh my god, the bitch one. I said bitch.
They almost made up for Dave Chappelle.
Almost.
Like when Dave Chappelle went away, that was sad, dude.
It was.
Like, and
It
then
really was.
But they were the closest thing to it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I agree.